Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Eden Zero, chapter 188. When we last left our heroes, Shiki and Wizard faced off. Wizard questioned if Shiki's heart was like bending towards darkness, is the phrase he used, because Shiki was able to strike someone who looked like Witch, which still kind of begs the question of like, do the Dark Stars believe they are a force for good in the world? Is sort of the questions like in my mind. You know, Ziggy's kind of an interesting character. Does he actually believe in his own, I'm gonna like save the galaxy by stopping Shiki, or save the universe by stopping Shiki? Or is it all just sort of a front for his own, you know, anti-human bias? But either way, the fight goes on. Neither of them are really able to do significant damage to the other, even once Shiki goes into overdrive. But still, Wizard reveals he has a form of Star Drain, or not Star Drain, but Ether Drain, that allows him to get in a battle dress that seems based off of Shiki's overdrive, but at the same time, his memories end up flowing into Shiki, and Shiki learns that A, he was a human, B, he knew Witch, who was also a human at one point, and C, they were both lawyers. So that's where we left off. So with all that said, let's dive right on into chapter 188, 1/10. And our picture here is of a very young Wise using his Machina Maker to like make some sort of gear while a little robot Griffin Kato watches on. Okay, he's there. But we pick up where we left off with Shiki seeing that like courtroom memory of Witch and Wizard. And Shiki in shock asks, You knew Witch? And Wizard sort of stares down at Shiki. I am a second-generation android, modeled after Witch. I possess all data relating to Witch, but I have no record of any contact with her. It would not be necessary. Okay, so whatever Ziggy did to him, Wizard does not know. And so Shiki protests, No, I saw a memory of you talking to Witch. And then he realizes, of course, Ziggy erased all the memories Witch and the other shining stars had from outside the Sakura cosmos. And we flash back to Hermit telling us that. I think Ziggy did it on purpose. I wonder if there's something he didn't want us to know. But like, even at that point, what Shiki hasn't quite worked out is that they're human. In that memory, they're like lines on their face of like a manufactured faceplate or whatever. They're not there in that flashback. That would have to be before they left the Sakura cosmos. Before they were ever the Shining Stars would be when this happened. So that doesn't quite answer the question. But Shiki goes on, so maybe he erased some of you guys' memories too. Memories of something that he wouldn't have wanted you to know. And you knew each other during the times of the white memories. And Wizard sort of listens to all that, but doesn't really care. Even assuming you are correct, Lord Ziggy must have had reasons. My mission remains unaffected. And he draws his spear again. My mission to kill you. Lightning Ether! And he summons Lightning Ether down to Shiki. Shiki takes the whole brunt of it. Wah! And he sort of falls over as Wizard taunts, My magic has absorbed all your ether. You have no power left. But Shiki catches himself before he falls. And still sort of on that thought, on thinking back about the memory he saw, it looked like you and Witch were pretty close. I think you were actually friends. But Wizard tells him, it makes no difference. And Shiki gets up, it makes a big difference to me. If you were friends with Witch, then maybe you can be friends with me too. So even after all of this, Shiki is still Shiki. He still wants friends. He knows that, like, you know, objectively he knows he has to fight these guys and possibly kill them, probably kill them. But, you know, he still wants to make friends with everyone in the universe. And maybe there's a way out of this that does not involve killing, that can still involve that friendship dream. But then, we cut to the circus. As Rebecca is still hanging on that like, trapeze rope. And she jumps, like, swings up onto it, tries to balance, oof. But she's, like, very wobbly there. Ah! And Happy and Pino from the cage call, Rebecca, be careful! The rope puts you at a disadvantage. You need to find more solid footing. And Rebecca tells her, yeah, I know. And then we just see Clown grinning down from above. And Clown is very easily walking that rope and also kind of wiggling the rope while he's moving it. And Rebecca was like barely holding on by like one hand. Whoa, hey, don't shake it! And then we have this sort of like RPG style like description. Clown dances an alluring dance. Rebecca loses her balance. And Happy is just some kind of commentary. But Pino corrects, or rather, it looks like an RPG system message, like I just brought up. And Rebecca comments on the dance. How is that alluring? But Clown keeps going. Clown dances an alluring dance. And with that, Rebecca falls. I will say, now that we get a better look at her shoes, those, like, heeled sandals are not the way to balance on a rope. I'll say that much. But Happy calls Rebecca! But Rebecca's ether activates. She goes into Cat Leaper and is able to catch herself with her tail. Woo! Safe! But Happy is just, no, you're out! In so many ways! And Pino, your appearance has become terribly indecent. And, like, yeah, we get a full-on... It's not quite an ass shot, because there is a little bit of cloth covering, but keyword being a little bit. And the RPG message notes, Rebecca strikes an alluring pose. And Rebecca snaps, no she doesn't! But then we leave them alone to come back to Wise, who is shooting at Killer, and it doesn't even do much damage, and Killer just sort of disappears. And Wise thinks he's gone, but Killer then tells him, my role is assassin. You can't expect me to stay out in the open. Try and find me. This is a game. But Wise just comments, that's stupid. I have a scanner, you know. And he goes, like, activate his scanner, but the scanner then disappears. And Killer taunts him, that's against the rules. That would make the game no fun. And Wise reacts, little punk. So what? He's as good a programmer as Hermit? And Killer doesn't really answer, try and find me. And then we come back to Brigandine, who is readying a punch to throw at Homura. Homura blocks it with her sword, but she's still, like, pushed back a good deal by the punch. She's actually sent flying, actually. As Homura comments, such power. I cannot parry his attacks. And Brigandine comes down for another punch, but Homura jumps over it. If she can't parry, she'll have to dodge. And she goes to cut the, like, arm of Brigandine. But it doesn't do much, and she's still sent like, Brigandine, like, shoulders her. Ah! And she, like, hits the ground behind him. I cannot cut him? And Brigandine looks back. No blade can pass through my armor. And then we come back to Shiki and Wizard. As Wizard taunts, friends? Nonsense. And Shiki tells Wizard, it was Ziggy who taught me how important friends are. But that Ziggy isn't around anymore. And then Wizard tells Shiki, Lord Ziggy had a short lapse of reason, which causes this realization in Shiki. And he thinks to himself, no, wait a minute. When Ziggy erased Witch and the Dark Star's memories, it was before he went berserk. In other words, it was when he was still my kind, caring grandpa. It seems that Shiki is working under the assumption that the grandpa persona was the true Ziggy, and then something happened to him that made him the evil demon lord we know now. Whereas what the audience knows at this point is that the grandpa was this little blip in Ziggy's life. So we'll see what kind of inherently false realization Shiki's going to come to here. And Shiki starts thinking, does that mean something? Why would Ziggy erase his crew's memories while still himself? What did he not want them to know? No, it can't be. Which actually, like, I guess, you know, he is wrong in the whole Grandpa Ziggy was, like, the original form of Ziggy. But it isn't a good point, I think, that Ziggy, you know, when he left the Sakura Cosmos, or when he came back to Sakura Cosmos, he was Grandpa. And that Ziggy was the one who, at the very least, erased the Shining Stars memories of what was outside the Sakura Cosmos. It does not mean that he was the one who was involved in whatever happened with the Dark Stars, of course. That's a whole other question we'll have to get to at some point. But Shiki's come to some realization. But Wizard does not care. He's readying his next attack. What are you muttering about? With your ether depleted, you cannot withstand my attack. Now turn to dust. Cosmic lightning. And there's this glint in Shiki's eye, and he just dashes. And he gets a hit in on Wizard. That, like it's almost reminiscent, in a much less dramatic, series-changing way, of Igneal's death in Fairy Tail. The whole, like, chunk out of his torso removed, the whole thing that happened there. And, of course, Shiki's not losing an arm here. But, like, that seems to be some serious damage that I'm not quite sure how Shiki accomplished that. Wizard's just sort of stunned, and Shiki tells him, sorry, I guess I overdid it a little. And Wizard's just stunned at this hole in his chest. But that's impossible. And he falls over. I absorbed all your ether. And Shiki tells him about 1/10 of it. Stunning Wizard, I'm going to be fighting Ziggy. Of course I had to save some energy for that. I thought 1/10 of my power would be enough to beat you. But you were stronger than I expected. Oh, damn. This boy has done some powering up over that there time skip. And Wizard thinks, in his dying moments, it's overwhelming. Are you really that strong? Shiki. And he sends out this, almost like telepathic or electronic telepathy, whatever, message to the Dark Stars. Attention, all Dark Stars. Do not underestimate them. And Shiki turns to Wizard. Hey, this is just a theory, but do you think maybe Ziggy knew he was going to go crazy? And that's where we leave off. Before I get to the rest of the chapter, I want to take a moment to come to linger a moment on that question there. Do you think maybe Ziggy knew he was going to go crazy? Because it's still, like I brought up earlier, it still is dealing with the flawed dichotomy, or the flawed worldview that Shiki has about Ziggy. That Ziggy started out as the kind old man, but as the kind robot who raised him as a grandfather figure, and then went crazy with his resurrection. Which, as we kind of know about Ziggy now, the audience knows and the Dark Stars know, that's just not really what happened. What Wizard says, is maybe not true in, like, a moral sense, but it's true in the way that Ziggy sees things. Lord Ziggy had a short lapse of reason. That's, the way Ziggy would describe what happened to him. That he was the man we know, the anti-human, create a universe from mechanical life forms figure, and then he had this moment of let's live in peace, which seems to be an amnesia thing. Though I don't think that's been confirmed, but it would tie into the names of the two Eden ships. Thinking in binary terms, in mathematics and robotics, 0, the null, missing the memories, 1, the full, having the memories, and then at some point he got his memories back and became the evil Ziggy we know today. But that doesn't quite make Shiki's question useless. That maybe even the amnesiac Ziggy, or maybe it's not even an amnesiac Ziggy, a Ziggy that somehow has changed his mind about, or a Ziggy who is like a separate personality or something, who was aware that former personality was one day going to come back. And so whatever he did to the Shining Stars, he did in preparation for the return of the evil Ziggy. I don't know. Lots of questions there. If Wizard is still alive, which I think he is, that little exclamation point on that third to last panel implies that he's still conscious even. Maybe he'll give some, like, parting thoughts about Ziggy. Anyway, let's talk about the fight. Because, like, I don't know, I thought this would be, had the opportunity, I remember last week I had this opportunity of, like, calling my video Witch and Wizard, in reference to the final panel where we find out that they were old friends, and I held off on titling the video that, because I thought that would be this video's title. I thought that would be what this chapter focused on. And I was completely wrong. Wizard does not even know what was going on there. And given that he's the enemy and the witch is dead, and they're also both amnesiacs, apparently, specifically about this life, we're just sort of left not knowing what's going on there for a while yet. Maybe Ziggy will give an answer at some point. But, like, I think it is safe to say that they were humans at one point, and they were human lawyers. But the fight itself is honestly, like, I like the twist of, like, Shiki knows, Shiki is smart enough that, like, he's not gonna waste everything on Ziggy's henchmen, and so he doesn't give all of his energy, he didn't use all of his energy to fight Wizard. It does kind of raise the question, I think, and that, like, Wizard thought that Shiki was drained of his ether, and why did he think that if he only drained, like, can Shiki tuck part of his ether away or something? Is that how he got away with this whole trick on Wizard's part? I don't know. It's sort of a weird thing there. It's not super important, I guess. I'm not, like, gonna be super hard on it. And it's a good moment of, like, this is the first real Shiki fight post-time skip, beyond, like, the douchebags he fought on Dahlia, and, like, the drones he fought coming into Lendar. This is the first real, you know, one-on-one traditional shonen fight post-time skip. And it really does act as, like, this is how badass Shiki is now. He just crushes a Dark Star like that. Though I will say, the one thing that concerns me about Wizard going down this easy is that, like, the Dark Stars always go down so easy, right? Like, Jaguar just beat the shit out of Killer and Brigandine back on Nero 1, and now Wizard goes down, not really to one hit, but, like, he goes down like a chump a little bit, and it's, like, I'm not super invested in these characters to the point where it's, like, actively disappointing that Wizard goes down like this, and especially given, like, Shiki is such a powerful force. He's a member of the Erastion States Galactica, one of the strongest people in the cosmos. So, like, sure, he takes down this, like, henchman, high-ranking henchman, but still a henchman fairly easily. But I would probably file this fight in the sort of thing that, like, if the fandom for this series was at the place where Fairy Tail was, like, 10 years ago, there would be, like, you know, foaming at the mouth all over the internet. So, like, thankfully, that's not where Mashima fandom is these days. But, like, it is that sort of, you know, Shiki is just so powerful here. Which, like, I think it works. I think this two-page spread is really good. And also, it really is kind of indicative of Igneal's death, a little bit. Not, like, dramatically. This isn't as gruesome as Igneal's death. But I just saw, you know, someone had, like, on the Fairy Tail subreddit commenting on, like, what if, like, showed the panel of Igneal's death. Like, what if this is how Ignea and Celine turns out, but in reverse or something? And so, like, that panel is on my mind as I'm reading this, and I don't know, it sort of does call to, like, it's the exact same spot where Ignea was ripped through. It doesn't quite go as deep as Igneal, but still, it's interesting. I don't know. I don't think this is, like, a sign that Shiki is, like, going dark or going evil or something. We're not supposed to take this and be like, wow, Shiki's gone too far to the darkness. Like, I've been rewatching the Marley arc in Titan, and, like, all of that arc is just see how far our heroes have gone. And I don't think this is anywhere near that. Not even, like, a tenth of that. But it's an interesting similarity nonetheless. Either way, Shiki's a badass, and he's wondering if what let's call him Ziggy Zero knew when he returned to the Sakura Cosmos, which is definitely something to keep in mind going forward. That could very well be important later. But beyond that, we sort of, you know, see the other fights are going, and they're going decently. You know, Rebecca's surviving. Wise is nothing's really happened there. Homer is getting the shit kicked out of her, but she's still basically alright. But yeah, with that, one Dark Star is down, and there's definitely some questions as to what exactly Ziggy Zero knew. But with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!